All right, good morning. So today what we're going to be working on is we're going to create a 5-number summary. And this is going to be new stuff, but we're going to tie it back in with some stuff that we already know and maybe learned last year. So to get started, to break down our creation of a 5-number summary, what we're going to do is we're going to extract our information that we have. We're going to interpret that information and then organize it in a way that makes sense to us. So that's kind of the steps that we're going to work on today. So before we get started, I'd like to go over some vocabulary that we did last year, probably. So we have mean, median, and mode. And I'm going to give you guys a minute or so to talk in pairs. So actually, if I could have you come on up, perfect. Or if you want to scoot on back, talk amongst yourselves in your pairs and identify what mean, what median, and what mode is, or what you remember from them. But most importantly, I want you to come up with a way that you are able to remember the differences between them. I often get confused, and I'm hoping that you guys might have some way that makes sense to you guys that you can help me with. So you guys have a minute to try and figure out the difference between mean, median, and mode, and how do you remember that?
Well, mode sounds like most. It's the most common value that appears.
Yeah, most occurring is what I was thinking there.
Mean is the true average, and it's mean of the teachers make you have to calculate it because it's the hardest one to figure out. You have to actually do a bunch of math to it.
Have you ever seen the movie Mean Girls?
Sure have.
Mean Girls are average.
Oh, that's
They're
way better.
basic.
That is way better.
So I like what you said for the mean. It's mean to make me calculate, but all of my students always tell me that it's mean to make them put it in order. They hate doing the organizing part for.
Depends on how long, the number span.
Yeah, that doesn't work for the words.
All right, and then we have what? The median, middle number. So yeah, I think of. Well, I don't have my driver's license yet, do I? They don't know about it. I was thinking the middle of the road, the median.
Oh, nice. Didn't know that. We know that. As students, we know that.
Sure.
That was actually going to be one of the words I brought.
Did you come up with some good mnemonics to remember?
We just know media is median.
So what is median?
Median is the middle.
Okay.
When you order them up, median would be the middle, mode would be the most occurring one, mode most. And mean is average, like average.
Oh, you heard that at Harvard. Isn't that a good
All
one?
right, so we got about 10 more seconds, guys. Unless we're all wrapped up. Are we all ready to go? Check in, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. All right. So now is the time when normally I would either roll a dice or pull from a cup, but I will take volunteers in this case. I'm looking for mean. What is it when you guys talked in your pairs? And how do you remember which one it is? Any volunteers? What have you got for us?
So a mean is the calculated average of a data set, and the way I remember it is that it's the hardest to calculate because you need to add everything together and divide. So it's really mean because it's difficult to calculate
Okay.
to the other two.
All right, so it's the most difficult one. And you said, how do we find it?
We add up all the numbers in the data set and then divide by the places, I guess, or the amount of points there are in that set.
Divide by number of numbers, does that work?
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to add them all up and divide by the number of numbers, all right? Does anybody else have another way that they remember that? All right, one that I liked that I heard was a movie reference. Hadn't heard this one before, but Mean Girls. And Mean Girls are average. And when someone says average, usually what we're talking about is we add all the things together and then we divide by the number of numbers. So you can remember Mean Girls are average. All right, another group. Median, mode, your choice. What do you got for us?
So mode is if I remember correctly, the most common number in a data set. So it doesn't matter if it's a little number or a big number, it's just the most common number.
Okay, so
And-
most common, all right, yeah.
And then I remember mode, it's like, well, what mode are you in? What's the most that's happening?
Okay, the words are very close. They're both 4 letters, M-O, mode, most. That's how I tend to remember. Is that similar? Perfect. All right. One more group, one more word. Volunteers? You got it? Go for it.
For median, my dad always calls the thing in the middle of the road the median. And so then you cross out the lanes on both sides and you get the middle number.
You got like
Mm-hmm.
on a highway, if you have, you know, a 2-lane highway on either side, this divider right in the center we call the median. Absolutely, it's the median divider. So what do we do with that? How does that work for numbers?
When I learned how to do the median, I put the numbers out and then I would cross them like drawing lanes for the cars.
Okay, so we have to list
All the numbers.
list all in order.
In order.
In order, very important. List in order, and then what do we do?
And then you have to find the middle.
Okay, so we're counting from the outside in, all right, and then find the middle number. All right. I like them. Nice summaries. We've got clear ways that we can figure out and remember what they are. So today we're going to introduce a new word, and this is going to be quartile. Quartile. Okay, so I don't want us to figure out what quartile is yet, but what I would like us to do is I want to think of some words that sound like quartile that we can kind of guess as to what quartile might mean. So again, in your groups pairs, we got 1 minute. Let's try and come up with some words that sound like quartile that might help us.
What was I know that have that?
Make me question my
And while this is going on, I have broken our word into 2 parts. So we have court and we have aisle. Maybe you have an idea of what aisle means by itself. Maybe you have an idea what court means by itself. Maybe that helps you think of some more words.
2 cups, aisle. Is it 8 cups in a gallon? 4 quarts in a gallon? So that would make
Senile.
2 cups, right?
No.
So there's 4 half cups.
That was the first word that came to mind.
4 half cups.
I'm struggling with aisle.
The word is quart.
I think it's reptile.
Reptile? Okay.
This is world class. 4. Oh,
Okay,
4
four.
quarts. So that would mean there's 16 cups in a gallon, which I forgot.
Actually, Amazon Echo is great for asking those conversions with tablespoons and teaspoons and cups and quarts.
Median, for like, if you have like an even number.
So you think that like the Nile?
Guys got some words for me?
Median
What's
is 239.
aisle?
Words good.
What is aisle? I was thinking tile. Pictures on it.
Anything with aisle.
Into the room.
Quartile.
Does it have to be connected?
Yeah.
Tile, okay.
Weird.
The Nile.
Senile.
Senile.
Senile. That is one that I have listed up there.
We should write a poem.
Maybe aisle's kind of hard to pin down.
We've got Nile and senile. We've got some drama here.
Senescence and senile.
All right. So I'm going to go from each group, starting over here. You guys have a word, maybe goes with court or with aisle, either one.
Quarter.
Quarter. All right. What is quarter?
It is if you break something into 4 equal parts. It's
4
one
equal parts. Okay. All right. Were you talking about something in particular, like
It appears in money.
money? Okay. Yeah. So we have a quarter. It's a specific coin. Awesome. Table 2.
Quart.
Quart. What is a quart?
It is 4 cups.
It is, in fact, 4 cups.
Also 1/4. It's also 1/4 of a gallon. I use the metric system.
Because you're Canadian.
Yes, there are a bunch of different volume measurements, but a quart is one. What have you got, table 3?
I started thinking about, it doesn't have all of the same, but quarter is, I know, fourth, and I was thinking like, we talk about the 4 quadrants when we're doing our graphing.
We do. So it has quad and quart, and you'll find in math, quad and quart tend to be grouped together because they have a very similar number associated with them. We starting to see what number might pop up out of that? 4 is a pretty good guess. Last table?
Can we use quad?
Quad, sure. It is a different prefix, but it does have the same meaning, right? So quad, and we're talking about 4. All right, any words for aisle? And this one's a little bit harder. It's not exactly subject specific. So maybe you're thinking about words outside of that. Do we need like 20, 30 seconds to come up with an aisle word?
Tile?
Kyle, a name?
I said tile.
Oh, tile.
We're saying Kyle.
No, we want to.
Different spelling for Kyle. Same sound. Tile. Okay. And what is a tile?
Something you put on the floor of your bathroom.
It's like a piece of something. All right. So we've got tile. Any other words? Table 1. Not Kyle.
Reptile.
Reptile. Okay. Table 3. Nothing. All right. Got another second. We're going to go to table 4. We're going to come back. I want another word.
Yeah, like wild.
Wild.
Denial.
Denial.
Senile.
Senile. And you said
Wild.
wild. All right. So aisle is a suffix that has it is related to or capable of. So oftentimes when you hear words like fragile, it is capable of being broken. Projectile, it is capable of being thrown, or it's related to being thrown. So we have quart, which means 4, and aisle, which is related to or capable of. And if we put these together, quartile is when we're talking about data sets, so that's what we're doing with mean, median, and mode. We have this big data set, and we're going to break it into 4 equal parts, just like quarter, and they're going to all be equal size. So in this case, we have mean, median, and mode. Which of those is going to help us break it into 4 equal parts?
Median?
Why median?
Because median, we're listing them in order, we're finding the middle. Well, the middle would be the second quartile if we're dividing into 4 equal parts.
Okay, so if I had my list of numbers, number, now I find the middle, you said you cross them out from either side to like break down to the middle. Okay, so we get to this middle. Does this divide it into 2 equal parts? All right, so does that help us divide it into 4 equal parts? All right, so we're getting there. So this is what we're going to do when we start to build this 5-number summary. We're going to use these quartiles. Now, the last thing before we get into 5-number summary, I'm going to have you each write on this 4-grid quadrant. You're going to do, the top right is going to be the word. I will write this up on the board, but I'm going to pass these around right now. And in your pairs, again, the top left is going to be the word.